Captain's Log Supplemental. I really loved the idea of Galaxy-class starships. They're designed to operate on their own for extended periods of time out in deep space. We're all excited for some good old-fashioned exploration. All of the additional civilians on board, however, are an absolute nightmare. I am henceforth assigning Lieutenant Patel as our Chief Entertainment Officer. I'm tired of all the complaints about my choices for movie night.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Captain's Log Supplemental. My name is Stanford. I am joined by my two co-hosts, Chris.
Yep.
And Rob.
Hello.
And we are also joined by our lovely producer, Mariah.
Hi there.
Captain's Log Supplemental, we rewatch Star Trek, or at least we're starting to. We're going to go through all of it in Stardate order. We are, I think, officially halfway through Season 2 of Enterprise, so still at the beginning of this little journey. If you like what you hear, or if you don't, I don't care. Go ahead and give us a rating, give us a review. We'll read any 5-star reviews on the podcast. We don't have any that, anymore yet.
Speaking of reviews, so it's not a review on the site, but my brother's been listening through the podcast, and he does have some feedback.
Excellent.
I'll go ahead and read it out for you.
Is it 5-star feedback?
Yeah, because we are 5-star men.
That is true. We are 5-star men. I'm going to infer a 5-star rating from this. Eric writes, I could salt my food with all that salt that Stanford is dropping on the pod. Yep.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. No, that's not wrong. Yeah.
We swear he likes Star Trek.
Someone's got to be salty on this motherfucker, because you two are too nice.
He does agree that it's definitely the worst Star Trek. He says, I can't blame him, but damn.
We gotta wait for that one guy from Reddit to be like, hey, you shit all over my Star Trek. So yeah, spread the word, tell people about us. Yeah. So, any other fun banter before we get to the actual nitty gritty here?
I'm banterless this evening.
Same.
I will say
I'm tired.
I'm feeling okay. I was surprised at the quality of episode I was given this week.
It was really good.
It was a good episode, yeah. And it even had time travel. It's like one of your least favorite things,
right?
I know.
And I'll talk about why like that actually ended up working. But yeah. So this week's episode is called Future Tense, and we get a cold open of some floating wreckage in space. They're trying to scan it. They see no biosigns. However, T'Pol points out that the hull is scattering their sensors, which means that, like, she can't get a good reading. Archer's like, yeah, pull it into the docking bay. Let's see what we get. They pull it in. It looks all gross and wrecked. Kind of like, I don't know if rusted is the right word, but it looks all decayed.
Mm-hmm.
You know how you could tell something bad was going to happen, though, right?
Why?
This had some of the most dramatic music I think I've ever
There
heard.
was some
Star Trek
dramatic
playing in the background.
Yeah, that is true. There was some dramatic music. T'Pol's like, I think this is a hatch, because she like kind of etches some of the dirt off around part of it, and then Reed's like, with your permission, sir, I'm gonna get a fucking gun, and he sets his phaser to, like, I don't know, breach, and just blasts the door open. Well, I guess he like
cuts his phaser to plasma cutter.
Cutter. So they're opening a door into a mysterious ship that they could not scan inside of. So, of course, what Archer does is get his face as close to the opening as possible.
Yeah.
Hoping to just catch a full face and lung full of whatever's in there. And then when that clearly didn't affect him, he gets into the ship before even looking. Like, he just climbs into that bitch and then is handed a flashlight.
Well, he's a doer. It's Captain Doer. He's doing.
This thing's about the size of one of their shuttle pods, so it's like not incredibly large.
No. Or is
it?
Oh, we'll get there. They, there's a lot of dust and stuff. He just breathes in all that alien whatever.
Alien dead guy.
There's a dead guy in the chair. Turn it around.
He's a real toasty boy.
Yeah, he's all zombified and gross. Well, I guess he's not zombified. He's not moving around, but he's all gross. And T'Pol's like, Captain, he's human. Whoa! Faith of the heart.
He's human. Or is he?
We get to Act 1 opens up with I guess like an autopsy that Dr. Phlox is performing. I don't understand why it's so dark in the med bay. That's
mood lighting. He likes it nice and creepy when he's looking in a dead body.
Right. Like, and I guess I think what they were going for is like, you know how morgues and hospitals in Hollywood shows are always like dimly lit and shit?
Then like a spotlight on the corpse.
Right. Which is that real? I've never been in a morgue.
I mean, it can't be, right?
Not in the area where staff are usually working. I work in a hospital. Not the area where the staff are usually working, but in the back in the freezer area, that the light can go off on a dimmer and people aren't often in and out of there. So
right, but like the autopsy is not performed in like a single lit table in the middle of a dark room, right?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because it doesn't make any sense. Like, you wouldn't see any better that way. So why not just light the whole room? And like, I guess, like, if you're in a morgue and that's just how the lights work, whatever. But he's in a sick bay. Like, the lights do work there. We've seen them.
Maybe lock them doors and turn them lights down low.
There's a thought that maybe this is Zephram Cochrane. That is apparently a reference to a TOS episode. Because in TOS, Zephram Cochrane shows up.
Oh, interesting.
So this is, it turns out, not Zephram Cochrane. Nope. We cut to the Three Musketeers fucking around with the mystery pod. The Three Musketeers, of course, being Trip, Reed, and Travis. They're trying to figure out what it is, and they're like, oh, it's stealthy and scattering our things. And then one of them's like, maybe it's an escape pod. Although an escape pod that's stealthy seems kind of contrary to its purpose.
Can I ask a question here?
Sure.
What expertise is Reed bringing to the table here?
Shooting stuff, cutting.
He's good at cutting. Yeah. So that's a good question. I don't know. He has, like, I assume he's a materials expert in some way, shape, or form, but Trip would also be, right?
You would think, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, to be honest, I think the proper crew for this would basically be, Trip and some other engineering staff, like, taking care of it. Not, like, Trip and the security tactical guy and the pilot.
Look, you never know when you're going to find a hole that goes into a pocket dimension, okay?
Hey, we're not there yet. So we get back to Archer, who's having a call with Forrest. Forrest is like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. We don't know anything out there. He says the Earth Cargo Authority can't really get a track on it either. This is the first we've ever heard of the, quote, Earth Cargo Authority. So apparently Starfleet has not completely taken over as a junta here at this point.
No, that's the ECA. Yeah.
But I assume that's who's in charge of like the civilian transport ships and shit, like the Horizon and whatnot. Which I guess makes sense. I don't know. Back to the little piece of ship. Trip and Reed open a hatch and it's just like gooey and gross.
Covered in Smurf jizz.
Yeah, it's like blue liquid, and one of them's like bioneural circuitry. That may have been Reed based on that accent I just used. Reed says maybe we should get Phlox up here, and Trip's like, good idea. And then they immediately don't. Like, they just ignore that idea completely. Without any precautions or taking a break to see what's going on.
It's covered in weird blue goo. Let's just open this bitch up.
Yeah, they just start continuing to open things, and after like 2 or 3 other panels that they pull off, they find a deep ladder well that goes down like countable feet, much past where this ship should be able to go, because the ship is only like the size, like they're inches from the outer hull here, and yet there's a ladder well going down like 20 feet. They're both like, what the hell? And Reed actually surprisingly cleverly says maybe it's a hologram. And
Yeah.
Trip says, oh, okay, well, let's figure that out. And then drops like an important piece of equipment down it. Not like a rock or,
Yeah.
a
like
penny
a
or
fucking
something.
Scrap metal.
Some sort of micro spanner. He's like, here, I don't need this. And then Trip's like, well, I guess I'm going down there. Reed's like, why are you going down there, you fucking idiot? And Trip's like, well, I need that piece of equipment. And he's like, well, maybe you shouldn't have thrown it down there. But he climbs down the ladder. It is not, in fact, holographic. We get back to the bridge, and a Suliban ship is showing up. And we haven't seen them in a hot minute. I don't think we've seen them since the opener of the season.
Yeah, that sounds right.
They come on screen, and I immediately throw up from their gross skin. The Suliban say they want the ship. Archer's like, there was a body on it, and that body's human. And the Suliban are like, we have salvage rights. We don't want the body. We just want the ship. And Archer's like, tough noogies. The Suliban ship is not particularly well armed, so Archer's feeling pretty sturdy here in his position. We cut back to Trip and Malcolm, who are down in like what looks to be like a reactor room for the ship. They continue to just open random shit. That's like their entire job is just to open as many things as they can with reckless abandon in this vessel. They pull out some kind of piece of equipment, and then everything kind of shudders as the Enterprise is under attack by this crappy Suliban ship. Reed and Trip go back up and out into the launch bay, and yet another thing we haven't seen in a good long while.
Ceiling troops!
Some ceiling troops pop up. Yeah.
Tactical superiority, baby.
Yep.
Yeah, they immediately lose the firefight. Reed was doing all right until he just kind of fell off of like a steps.
He's like, oh no, you're shooting at me. Whoa!
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
That was very dramatic overacting.
We were going to fire up the grappler to try to keep the Suliban from escaping, but we didn't actually get to see the grappler, so I'm very disappointed.
They keep teasing us with those grapplers.
I know.
They do mention it several times, and just like, oh, no, just fucking blue balls us on the grappler.
But the Suliban that were on the ship just kind of, I guess they get transported out. They never really say how that happened, but it looks like a transporter.
Yep.
Reed has to like go secure the landing the landing bay's controls room. His like I'm clearing this room pose is very silly. I don't know what his bud is doing, but it is way out there. As he's like crouched on the ground and just flipping around with his little laser. But they're gone and they head off to warp, and that's that.
They cloak too.
Yes. In Act 2, we show Trip and some of his crew kind of looking at this weird electronic box they pulled out of that ship. They think it might be a black box. So they're gonna try to get it fixed up and working. Phlox found something interesting in the DNA. Turns out that this person is not pure human. He's largely human. But they are also a smattering of other alien race DNA, including Vulcan, and then some other ones I don't remember, including ones that he had never seen before.
Yeah, so we know that in the future, humans have carried on the rich Starfleet tradition of just banging aliens left and right.
Banging all the aliens. Successfully banging.
Yes, quite successfully, yes.
That's the secondary directive.
Explore strange new worlds. Get lots of alien strange.
Archer is clearly like, well, the Suliban want this shit. We don't know what's going on. This feels temporal. Like, this thing's clearly from the future or whatever. We're going to have to go back to Daniel's quarters of mystery. So Daniel's room is still locked. Like, the boot is on it. Do they never go in this room? Like, the Enterprise has been back to dock at this point and repaired and stuff. But they just leave this room closed?
We don't talk about his room.
I don't know that they've been back to Earth yet. Like, they went to that one, like, Jiffy Lube the one time, but they've never actually gone back home.
Space Jiffy Lube.
Space Jiffy Lube. I feel like they were back at Earth at one point.
Yeah.
I don't know. I remember saying at one point, like obviously they've been back to Earth, but I don't remember the context. Huh. Anyways, but I guess they just don't go in Daniel's room anymore. So T'Pol and Archer are going through Daniel's like future holographic database. It looks a little more sensible now. It's not quite filling the room with nonsense. It's like actually like looks like windows of like information that one could actually digest.
Did you see the George W. Bush speech?
I did see that. Or rather, I saw a trivia about it. I did not actually look through it.
Okay.
But yes, one of the items in the database was the inauguration speech of his second term, I think.
Yeah.
I like that the database clearly has a table of like, here's all the ships that you'll learn about in the future, and they're just kind of scrolling through.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately, this, database does indeed have an entry on this particular ship. And they're like, oh, okay. And then they kind of learn a couple of things about it. But then there's another alien vessel inbound. They cut to like an exterior view of the Enterprise and they show the alien vessel. And my first thought was like, is that a Tholian? Like, I thought they were just going to reuse an asset. But no, shit. Turns out it's a fucking Tholian. I guess the Tholians have their own universal translator because there's this kind of weird conversation happening where the Tholians doing their like screechy
dolphin noises.
Yeah, noises. But then like after a few seconds it like comes in with this broken English. And Hoshi later is like, I don't know what they're saying. So I think it's the Tholians have a universal translator as well. I imagine that's how all universal translator conversations happen. It's just like you hear Archer just screaming nonsense, and then it's like, "Hi, how are you?"
And no wonder all these aliens hate him.
Scott Bakula told the Tholians also want this ship. Scott Bakula told them to fuck right off, and that weirdly worked. Although the Tholians said something mean on the way out, that they did not translate.
Screamed dolphin obscenities at them and flew off.
Yeah. We get to Act 3 where T'Pol is doing an analysis of the ship's hull. She's in the mess hall, and Dr. Phlox comes and joins her, and she's doing an analysis of the like time ship's hull, and like noting that she's found new materials and stuff. They have that future database. Is this analysis necessary? Like, they have the specs on the ship.
Yeah.
All right. Good talk. So, T'Pol doesn't. This whole conversation is basically T'Pol doesn't like time travel. A thing that is well established. So, like, I don't really see the purpose of this conversation. It did not move the plot of the episode forward very well.
Listen, it's been 16 episodes since we've last talked about time travel. They got to bring it up again.
I guess
it kind of felt like them making fun of like conspiracy theories and like flat earthers a little bit.
Geez, yeah, I maybe, I don't know. It felt like this whole scene could have been cut.
I mean, I don't think you're wrong about that, but that's what I got from it.
We get to a much more interesting conversation between Trip and Reed about time travel, because Reed's like, man, I wish I could go to the future, and Trip's like, I'm happy where I am, thanks. And Trip's point is like, I don't want to know the future because then that takes all the fun out of it. And I don't like, that's an interesting philosophical like position to have.
Right.
While they're fixing the black box, then they're working on that, but they're also they're still near the pod thing. And they're gonna like wrench a part of it open and then like time loops and repeats for a few minutes.
Yeah, I gotta say, they did a good job. It got me good there for a second. I'm like, oh, did it buffer or something? I'm like, oh, wait, no, it's a time loop. Okay.
Yeah, me too. I was like, did they mess up the editing in the episode or something? Like, what just happened?
The only thing I will say is I don't like that the final event of their particular loop was opening that part of the ship, because that obviously was not the trigger of the loop, but like the way they cut it, it felt like that was.
Yeah.
Because I was like, stop opening shit. Like, stop it. But apparently time is looping around the pod every once in a while. And the Tholian had mentioned something about temporal radiation. So they're like, Maybe. And Phlox is like, it's not enough to hurt you. You'll be fine. However, T'Pol is like, let's just blow that. Let's just blow that. Let's get rid of that ship. Let's destroy it. In this like meeting with a couple of people, there's like a random extra in the background doing computer work. We never see her again. Archer says, no, we're not going to blow it up. T'Pol says, you're making a big mistake, whatever. But they're trying to get to the Vulcans because there's a Vulcan ship that is coming to meet them because of the Suliban incident. So they are trying to get to the Vulcans as quickly as possible. In engineering, Trip is working on the black box. He's like, it's weird. It's sending out some kind of electromagnetic pulses. So I don't know how many people are aware of how black boxes on airplanes actually work, but they generally are tied to the emergency locator beacon system. We call them ELPers.
I guess so you can find them.
Yes. I actually, in CAP, I was trained to find ELPers. So like, yes, that's exactly what that. There's an entire frequency of the radio band reserved for emergency locator beacons. And then you have this device that helps you find them. It's pretty fun. The Suliban show back up at warp, and there's like some warp shooting at each other. Travis dials the Enterprise to 11, so it's like vibrating and shit.
Time to shutter.
It's gonna take less than 3 minutes to get there. So Archer is gonna stall them.
They didn't go for the stalling.
The Suliban says the Vulcans won't risk their ship for an Earth vessel. I don't know what made him come to that conclusion, because, like, that's demonstrably untrue.
Yeah.
Some shooting between the ships, very exciting. Once again, the CGI budget for ship-to-ship combat is clearly much better these days.
Yep.
They pop out of warp where the Vulcan ship is going to be, but, gasp, the Vulcan ship is currently damaged and is not actually operational, and a bunch of Tholians are flying away from it, because the Tholians disabled the Vulcan ship and are also going to get our Enterprise. Act 4, Archer's like, well, fucking get out of here, but the Tholians disable the Enterprise so they can't get to warp. And then, like, the Tholians and the Suliban just start fighting around the Enterprise.
That's pretty cool, yeah.
It was pretty badass, actually. I wasn't sure, like, Archer and Reed are like, well, we're going to have to do this thing with a torpedo. I wasn't sure what they were exactly planning, but I guess they were like, we're going to give the ship to somebody, but we're going to put a torpedo warhead in it.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's a time loop here while they're doing that.
Repeated time loops.
Yeah. This is where, like, the time looping thing was kind of silly, because it's like, well, we better hurry up then. Well, does that matter? Because, like, whether or not you're in there, if time loops, that warhead's going to be back inside the torpedo, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
so I think what Archer was alluding to here was they didn't know if the area outside of the temporal radiation was also subject to the loops or not.
Right, but like the torpedo warhead inside the pod would be inside that radius for sure.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So even if they left, if they got it in there, bailed it in and ran out the door, like the time loop would click and then the warhead would just be intact outside.
Yeah.
But I guess it works. Trip gets the black box fixed, and it starts sending out a signal. The Tholians, they eject the pod out of the ship. The Tholians grab it, and then they try to detonate the warhead, and then they say, like, the Tholians deactivated the warhead. However, I actually have a better question. How are they planning on getting the detonation signal to the warhead inside the stealth ship?
Yes.
Wait, which stealth ship?
The pod deflected all EM radiation. That's why they couldn't scan inside it. So how are they going to send the detonation signal to the warhead?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Subspace.
Subspace.
Checkmate.
Yes, because the black box is fixed, starts sending out a signal, and then suddenly it disappears, the body disappears, the ship disappears. The future's going to have a hell of a surprise inside the ship when they open that up, because assumedly the ship got back to the future with a warhead in it.
Oh.
The Tholians lost their prize, and they're like, well, fuck it, and they bug out. They already destroyed all the Suliban. And so then we had this kind of wrap up where the name of the Vulcan ship was the Talkir. The captain of the Talkir seems like surprisingly reasonable because
very chill Vulcan guy.
Archer, we don't see him, but Archer's like, tell the captain that we're very sorry, and T'Pol's like, he says his ships can be replaced. It's all right.
He said, "It's cool, dog." I don't know when he talks like that, but.
And then Archer's like, can you imagine that person had some Vulcan DNA? Can you imagine someday humans humans and Vulcans might someday like fuck and have offspring? And T'Pol's like, ew,
gross.
Fuck you. Ew. I would throw up before that would happen. So just a little bit of light racism.
She was like, bleh, bleh, bleh.
And my last note here is that this was a surprisingly good ending, which would have been ruined by the original idea. Okay.
What was the original idea?
So the original script writer's idea was that at the end of the episode, instead of everything just kind of vanishing, a representative from the future would show up and explain everything and then take everything with him and leave.
Oh yeah, no, this was so much better.
That would have made this episode fucking terrible.
Yeah, and the other thing that made this okay was that the time travel created the problem instead of the solution.
Yes.
I definitely understand what you're saying, but just for our listeners, can you explain that?
The plot revolved around time travel having created a predicament for the Enterprise's crew to solve instead of fixing it for them.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And I think like the reason, and I will say this episode is actually good. And there are parts that I would fix to make it great, but it was good. And the reason it was good was because it doesn't matter why that ship is there. It doesn't matter what's on it. The plot is they have something that these two people want, and they are not strong enough to keep it from both of them. Like, that is an interesting plot.
Yep.
They weren't strong enough to keep it from either of them.
So that's what I meant. Yeah, not both, but either. Yeah, absolutely. And the only reason that they managed to do okay was because the Sulibans and the Tholians were fighting each other.
They go ahead.
Oh, sorry. So I was going to say, like, on our kind of rating scale from 1 to 5, where 0 is threshold.
Oh, hold on. Before we get to that, you were talking about like early pitch for the story. Apparently, another early pitch for this story that became this episode was that the USS Defiant, not the Deep Space Nine one, but the one from Tholian Web in 1968, would appear instead of the time ship.
Right.
Which I thought was interesting. The Defiant does later appear in the series.
Shut the fuck up, Chris. Shut up.
Oh.
Don't ruin it. Don't ruin it for Rob.
That's all I'm going to say. Well, that's all I'm going to say.
Yes, that idea did not go away.
Also, just a little bit of trivia. This episode canonically established that Tholians live in extremely hot environments. Up until this episode, this was a popular fan theory, apparently, based on the fact that the view screen showing the Tholians in Tholian Web, the original episode, seemed to ripple, possibly from heat. Apparently, Mike Sussman, one of the writers from the episode, liked the idea and included it in the episode because it made the Tholians even more mysterious. So.
Yeah, that Mike Sussman guy is the guy who almost ruined it with his stupid idea.
Well, that idea was okay, Mike.
So on a scale from 1 to 5, I'm going to give this one a 4. I don't think it quite rises up to a 5, but boy, it was as close as this show has gotten so far.
Yeah, it's definitely a very solid 4 for sure.
I feel like you two are forgetting the wonderful episode of Carbon Creek, which was a 5, but we'll call this one a 4 all around.
Bullshit, that was a 5.
yeah, Chris and I gave that one a 3. You gave it a 5.
It was a great episode.
Which means it averages out to less than a 4. Yeah, so not too bad. It's actually like one of those things where like it's a good use of a MacGuffin. Because
Yeah.
unlike usual where it's like, we need the MacGuffin to progress the plot, this is one where, like, actually the POV characters already have the MacGuffin. Like, usually in shows like this, we would have been in a POV of one of the people trying to get it. But in this case, we're in the POV of the people who'd had it and didn't really even know what they had. And then watching that kind of all happen around them. And the fact that that confusion never really got resolved, I think they could have even pulled it back. Like, they could have, like, the Daniels quarter stuff, they could never have figured out what this ship was from the future or whatever, and I would have been fine with that. It would have been still a fascinating episode.
Yeah. Good episode all around.
So, all right. Well, with that, we will take a quick break, and we will be back with a little deep dive. All right, welcome back. So for our deep dive today, it's not gonna be too long of one, but I want to talk about the kind of weirdly storied history of hybrid Vulcans in Star Trek.
Okay.
We obviously start, the concept of a Vulcan-human hybrid starts famously in the original series with Spock.
Yeah.
Now, it is not established in the very first episode that he is half human. That comes around a little bit later, but it's pretty much like the understanding from the get-go, apparently, as far as the fans and stuff were concerned, was that, yeah, he's not a full Vulcan. He's a half-blooded Vulcan. The lore behind the Vulcans had not been, like, really squared away in the early parts of TOS. In fact, in one of the episodes, they were called Vulcanians because they were from the planet Vulcan. That was quickly kind of dropped because it was stupid. But apparently Harry Mudd, in the original episode where Mudd shows up in TOS, calls Spock a Vulcanian.
Go boy.
Is it Harry Mudd? Whatever Mudd's first name is. Now, the question, of course, is, like, physiologically, how does that work? Because, like, they're not the same species, and we kind of know on Earth that, like, even species that are pretty similar can't fucking breed, right? That's not possible.
So,
go ahead.
There is a Next Generation episode.
Yes. I was just about to get there.
Oh, okay. Well, then I will let you do it then.
So the basic premise actually is that the canon reason is that in the Next Generation there was an episode whose title I forget. It's called something. Is it The Search? Something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Where some doctor, some scientist, figured out,
archaeological professor of Picard's past.
Right. Figured out that there's, like, clues inside human DNA and other DNAs, as well as, like, some archaeological evidence that all point to, some precursor race. And they all end up kind of going there and finding out that this precursor race was, like, they were the only ones in the galaxy. They got lonely, so they seeded every planet with humanoids. And that's why all races in the galaxy look like humans, but with different foreheads.
Little retcon action there.
Mm-hmm. Now, be that as it may, it is obviously quite the evolutionary divergence for one species to use iron as a hemoglobin blood component and another to use copper. Like, those are pretty divergent traits. However, that retcon aside, there have also been established canon that in order for interbreeding to occur between a human and a Vulcan, it requires a medical intervention. Pop quiz, do you know who invented that intervention?
Is it Spock's mom?
Nope. Rob?
Don't know.
T'Pol?
Oh, closer. It is Phlox.
Really?
Crazy.
Yes. So there will
I don't remember that from the show. Interesting.
Yes, there will be an upcoming episode wherein they meet, like, an NX-01 from a slightly different timeline. And T'Pol and Trip have a baby. And it was Phlox that developed the medical therapeutic genetic techniques required to have a half Vulcan, half human. This, of course, will break some of the lore because, according to TOS, like Spock was the first half human, half Vulcan.
Sure.
A la like Elrond the half elf. But Enterprise doesn't give a shit about anything that happened. So like they just do whatever they want. So yes, Dr. Phlox is actually credited with the medical breakthrough of kind of Vulcan and human hybridizing. So weirdly though, in Star Trek loves to run with ideas that they have. Like they've got like 2 or 3 ideas and they just fucking do them over and over and over again. I mean, how many times have we seen fucking tribbles in this show? But weirdly, there's only been like 3 Vulcan human hybrids. Like it's Spock and then a couple on Enterprise, and that's it. It's kind of interesting because like we see more like human Klingon hybrids in the shows than human Vulcan ones, even though like human Vulcan hybriding is like the first one we see.
Sure.
Because it was in TOS. So while researching this, I found an article from, I think, Screen Rant. Is that who this is? Yeah, Screen Rant. It talks about, it's like 14 things that make no goddamn sense about the Vulcans. And they point out that, like, it's weird that hybridizing can even happen because the babies would be so different. What's interesting about that is actually Mariah and I had a discussion about this because I was like, can a mother carry a baby with copper blood? And the answer is like, that might not be impossible because the way that like
weird,
the way that the baby gets oxygen is through the placenta, but there's an exchange of the maternal blood cells basically hand oxygen off to the fetal blood cells and then take on the CO2. So technically they could hand them off through the placental barrier to copper-based blood cells. There's no reason that couldn't theoretically happen. And the mother's immune system is already suppressed so that it will not attack fetal like blood cells and stuff because fetal blood does get into the mother's blood. That's how they're able to do some kinds of tests on maternal blood.
Yeah.
So like physiologically it's not impossible, but it is one of those things where it's like they're real fucking different. I don't know. But I guess with enough Phloxian achievements, anything's possible. This article though points out a couple of other things that I thought were kind of interesting, so I wanted to go through a couple of those. Mostly about like Ponfar. So
Ponfar.
Ponfar is stupid. We all agree.
It's very stupid.
But it was not until the producers I was just
gonna say it's like anytime the writers get bored, they're like, "Who's in the mood for a horny storyline, guys?"
Yeah. It was not until Enterprise writers decided that they wanted to see T'Pol writhe on the floor in what is going to be grotesquely uncomfortable manner. That it was that it was established that Vulcan women could also Ponfar, because until then it was strictly men. Like it was explicitly said that only men deal with Ponfar.
Oh well, breasts.
But yeah, but then T'Pol. Also apparently like because of the episode where Kirk and Spock have to fight to the death over T'Pring.
Oh boy.
It points out that like divorce doesn't seem to be a thing in Vulcan culture. Like if you want to get divorced, you have to fight someone to the death.
Yikes.
Let's see. The Vulcans don't drink. This has been established a bunch of times, but somehow they also brew alcohol. So like, cause Vulcan ale is a thing.
Yeah, it's like the old monasteries back in feudal times. Like
those motherfuckers drank that,
but they
drank all kinds of it.
They brewed a lot, but they weren't really supposed to imbibe as much as a normal person.
Well, I mean,
They drank the fuck out of
they
that
tried
beer.
that. Man, those monsters were having good times. Oh yeah, they talk about the nerve pinch and how like, yeah, it makes sense that like the Leonard Nimoy basically invented the nerve pinch. I don't know if y'all are aware of this little trivia.
I vaguely
No.
remember hearing this before.
Yeah, basically, like, he didn't think there was a scene in some episode where Nimoy was supposed to just like punch the shit out of some alien, somebody on the ship, and Leonard Nimoy's like, that doesn't really feel like Spock's character. How about this? And he just kind of nerve pinches him, and the guy passes out. Originally, the idea was like, well, I guess only Vulcans can do that shit, some kind of telepathy or whatever. But then, like, other people are taught to do it. Like Picard and Kirk are both taught to do it at various times. Or no, I'm sorry, not Kirk. Picard and Data both do it at various times. And it's one of those things where it's like, if anyone can learn this, why isn't Starfleet teaching it? Yeah, because it seems to work on pretty much everybody.
Yeah,
It's like a two-fisted punch. Works every time.
It works every time. And then the final thing is like there was actually kind of an interesting retconning done mostly for storytelling reasons, where like it was originally just said that like Vulcans don't have emotions, but then like later series kind of retconned this into like, well,
they suppress it.
Technically Vulcans are more emotional than humans. They just are so good at they have to repress it. And those are such wildly different concepts. I do understand how the latter is better for storytelling.
Sure.
But,
Yeah,
like,
definitely.
it is wildly different. Also, kind of an uncomfortable note in this article. So, y'all remember Search for Spock, Star Trek 3?
Yeah.
How many times do you think Spock and Saavik fucked?
All the times.
Like, it had to be a bunch, right? Because he was, like, Ponfar in every few minutes, probably, because he was growing up real fast.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah, think about that.
Oh, I would rather not.
Oh, man. Vulcans are stupid. Anyways, so yeah, that was my thing. A little fun aside about Vulcan-Human hybridizing through Star Trek there.
Yep.
All right. Well, we're going to take our second break, and we will be back with some potpourri.
Welcome back, everybody. All right, so for today's potpourri, I was inspired. We talked about the Tholians earlier, how they were revisiting. This was their first appearance since their original TOS episode. So I wanted to do a little bit of only one appearance alien trivia.
Oh, no.
Full disclosure, I fully expect you guys to not do well with this at all. It's gonna be terrible. Let's have fun.
Oh, that's
Great.
good content right there when we don't know anything.
Yeah. All right. So, first question. What species did Voyager encounter in the episode Nemesis that looked quite sinister, but ended up quite helpful? They were enemies with the Vori, or Vori. I don't know how that's pronounced.
The Erov.
I see what you did there, but no.
Nemesis. Can you give me the plot of the episode at least?
Oh, Jesus, no? I mean...
Oh, well, fuck me then. Okay, asked and answered. Fuck if I know, man.
Just the Kraden, or Kraden. I don't know how it's pronounced. They're like the predator-faced dudes.
Oh, yeah, them. Oh, they were nice.
Yeah, exactly. They looked scary as fuck, but they were cool bros. All right, next question. In The Next Generation, in the episode Manhunt, a pair of these fish-like aliens were up to no good under the cover of a diplomatic mission.
Mon Calamari.
I mean, they do kind of look like that.
No, it's not the Antikins. It's the...
We were fucking close, bro.
It's like Antorans?
It's not. It's Antedians, but you're pretty close.
Okay, the Antikins are a different one-off race that showed up in TNG. The Antikins and the Soleil.
All right, I'm gonna give you a point for that because you're pretty close.
But yes, I remember. That's the one that you said that Fleetwood Mac guy was
exactly.
in, right?
100% correct. Yep.
Yeah, it's the little Oksana Troy episode.
Yep.
Yeah, they were assassins.
Yeah, exactly. All right. In The Next Generation, in the episode The Hunted, a member of this race was captured by Enterprise, but he broke out of his, jail cell and ran amok among the ship.
Tribbles.
Shit, man, I do not know.
He was a genetically enhanced soldier that they had kind of discarded after the war.
Sulabad.
No.
In Enterprise or TNG?
TNG.
Oh. Yeah, I don't know.
The Angosians.
What does that sound familiar? They were only in one episode?
Yep, one episode. Yeah, they were... it was an early season. I can't remember if it was season 1 or season 2. I think it was season 2, maybe.
Oh, okay. I must have watched... I watched like the first couple seasons of TNG like a few months ago. So,
yeah, like it's the one where like they're establishing like diplomatic relations with this species, and then like this guy like escapes the prison planet he was on, but the Enterprise kind of captures him, and then he escapes out of his his cell, and then eventually the Enterprise ends up siding with them and just says, well, you fucking made him, it's your problem now.
Nice.
So, all right, next question. In the Star Trek motion picture, this hairless race used technology to repress their uncontrollable sexual attractiveness.
It's the Proto-Borg. I don't remember the name of them. I saw that movie once.
I have no idea either.
The Deltons.
I remember. What'd you say?
The Deltons.
Oh, that's right. God damn, I knew that.
All right. Next question. In TNG, in Skin of Evil, this unique sludge-like alien killed a member of the bridge crew.
The fuck was the name of the trash bag monster?
I don't remember. It killed Yar. I remember that.
Yeah,
Yep.
what's his fucking name? It had a dumb name, too.
Oh, my God.
You want a hint?
Sure.
The beginning of it is the name of one of your appendages.
Legolas.
The Hand of Evil.
Armus.
Yeah, fucking hefty bag monsters, what I always called them.
All right. In the original series, in Let That Be Your Last Battlefield, this half-white and half-black race got the Enterprise caught up in a political dispute between the factions.
Man, if we were better people, we would know the name of this race. I know exactly what episode and the concept that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I do not remember the name of them.
Rob, any guesses?
So when you say half black and half white, you mean like mimes, right?
Like they,
No,
like
split
they're like
down the
their makeup
middle.
was like a black and white cookie.
Yeah, and then they were fighting a war over like the people who had black on the left side of their body
right.
and people who had black on the right side of
Yes,
their body.
correct. Yes.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
it was
It
an
was an
allegory
allegory
for
for racism. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh God, I know
Did
exactly
they
what
have
episode you're talking
stars
about
upon thars? Were they
Yes,
the
exactly.
Sneetches?
Yes. The fucking right black sneeches and the left black sneeches.
Uh-huh. So no guess, Rob?
now. No, I have no idea.
The Charon. Charon. I don't know how it's pronounced.
Rob, it's the Charon. Come on, man.
Yeah.
All
All right. In Voyager, in the episode named after this alien species, Voyager is attacked by ships that function like an insect swarm.
The Flood.
That is Halo, so no.
I would like to once again remind everybody listening to this that I haven't even seen Voyager yet.
Man, I don't remember.
I literally gave you the answer in the question. They are called the Swarm.
Oh, I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, they were set up to be like a big baddie, but then they just kind of disappeared.
Yeah, good. Fuck that thing. It's creepy.
In the original series, in Devil in the Dark, this non-humanoid alien has a rocky, molten look.
Oh, man. Fucking
Oh.
Spock mind melded with it. What the fuck is the name of that thing? Fuck. I don't remember.
Gladys.
Pet Rock.
Bedrock. No, Horta.
Horta. Fuck.
Yeah.
All right. In Voyager, it turns out Voyager had a lot of one-off aliens.
Well, yeah, I mean, based on the design of the show, that makes sense, because, right,
Yep.
like, they're traveling a lot.
All right. in Voyager, these reptilian aliens got their own episode where they explored their actual, origin without the actual Voyager crew participating in the episode.
Oh, weird.
Think dinosaurs in space.
Well, it wasn't the dinosaurs, though. That was a different episode.
The Rexilians.
Nope. These guys actually made an appearance in some game, I guess.
No, I don't remember.
The Voth.
The Voth. Because there were dinosaurs. The Troodons showed up at one point, but the Voyager absolutely was dealing with them.
Yeah, no, this is the one where you see the Doctor hologram in the end. But it's from the point of view from one of these scientists who's trying to say they originated from Earth, not from this planet.
Wait, that is them. Oh, okay, so they are the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
I forgot the Doctor was involved, but I thought the Voyager crew showed up at some point, but I guess not. Huh? Okay. But yes, they were actually dinosaurs from Earth.
Yep.
They're there's a fucking asteroid coming. Get the fuck off this rock.
All right. In another Voyager, these ancient aliens viewed the Borg as a minor annoyance before their civilization collapsed. They visited an ancient city of these people.
Was this
Sure they did.
Was this the species that was numbered?
No.
No, then I don't know.
Starts with a V.
The Voth.
The Viridians.
The Vaudoir.
Oh, the boudoir. Got it. Okay.
Yes, the boudoir aliens. Yeah. All right. In the Kelvin timeline, this primitive race is all white with black eyes and clad in yellow.
Dude, I don't remember the name of those fucking things. What the fuck? What, did they say their name once in the whole thing?
They do, several times.
God damn it. I don't know.
Rob, any guesses?
No, I have no idea, man.
They were the Nibirians. The Nibirians. Wow, you guys are doing even worse than I had suspected.
Just shout about when you get them. It's fine. Yeah, let's keep going.
Dude, a third of these are from a show I haven't even watched yet.
Yeah, and the other third is from the show I haven't watched.
All right.
When we get to the end, we'll just do them all again, and we'll sound real smart.
There you go. All right. In DS9, in Captive Pursuit, this alien species was bred exclusively for hunting purposes for another alien species.
Fucking basset hounds.
No.
God.
No, to be hunted.
Oh.
To be hunted.
Boy.
Guesses?
No idea.
No.
Tosk. Chief O'Brien befriends the one that comes to their station. But Tosk. All right. In Voyager, in Ashes to Ashes, this alien species reproduces by implanting a corpse with a genetic pathogen to reanimate them.
Phoenix.
I thought this was a cool concept, by the way.
I know exactly which episode you're talking about, but I don't remember the name of the species. Man, I don't remember the names of people in real life.
The Kobali.
Kobali. God damn it.
All right, last question. In Discovery, in Magic to Make the Sanest Man Go Mad, the Discovery crew find this space whale creature injured and take it to a wildlife sanctuary.
Oh, God.
Yeah, it's a Tiyanki.
Yeah.
Nope, that's Stellaris.
Yep.
Damn it.
All I remember was Harvey Mudd was in it.
Mm-hmm. It's the time looping one, right?
Maybe? Any guesses?
Or Harry Mudd.
Nope.
No, I have no idea.
The Gormagander. All right. Well, you guys get a F-. You guys suck.
Nice.
Awesome.
Did I win with my half point?
I was going to say, you won with your half point.
Nice. Go me. Oh, by the way, John sent me hate mail that was like, Rob's not allowed to win trivia. What the fuck is happening?
Wait, which one was that? Which one did I win?
You did win one.
Yeah, you won one that, the video game trivia.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
When it's not Star Trek, you're good to go.
Yeah,
which is real ironic. Come on, you didn't do the Antikins or the Soleil, the ones I actually know, Chris.
I'm sorry.
those were fucking hilarious. Oh man, you didn't do those people with the plague.
Oh yeah, they made more than one appearance, didn't they?
The Tellurians, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Oh man.
All right, big winner.
Game is
0.5
stupid.
points.
Game is stupid.
All right. Well, that will wrap up our fun little potpourri for the episode. Once again, if you like the episode, please rate, review us, 5-star men, all that good stuff. Recommend us to all of your friends. That will help us out a lot. And yeah. Any final thoughts, guys?
No. Have a good night.
All right, everybody. We will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
And now we get a copyright strike.
I don't think that's going to breach any copyright violation.
Thanks for listening to Captain's Log Supplemental. You can follow us on Twitter at PodCLS or send us hate mail at podcls3@gmail.com.